Chapter 1: The Whispering Fog. It was the kind of morning that made you question reality. A thick, pale fog rolled in from the ocean, swallowing the small coastal town of Elmridge like a ghostly tide. I stood on the porch of my grandmother's old Victorian house, the wood creaking beneath my feet, a mug of lukewarm coffee clutched in my hands. My name is Evelyn Cross. I had just turned 23 and moved to Elmridge after my grandmother passed away, leaving me her home and, apparently, her secrets. The house was perched on a cliff, overlooking the gray Atlantic. It groaned in the wind like it had a voice of its own, and sometimes I thought I heard it whispering. At first, I chalked it up to my overactive imagination. After all, I was a writer, and writers are prone to dramatics. But then things started to happen, small things, strange things. The lights flickered, even when the power was fine. I'd find books open on my desk that I hadn't touched. Once I came downstairs to find the front door wide open, even though I knew I had locked it the night before. That morning, the fog felt different. It was heavier, colder, almost alive. As I stepped out onto the path leading to the cliffs, I felt a sudden chill run down my spine. I turned sharply, half expecting someone to be standing behind me, but there was no one. Just the empty porch and the distant call of seagulls. I should have gone back inside. But something, curiosity, stubbornness, maybe fate, urged me forward. The path to the cliff's edge was overgrown and slick with dew. I moved slowly, baitsuri, careful not to slip. The fog thickened as I walked, muting the world around me. It was like stepping into another realm. And that's when I saw her. A girl, no older than 16, standing near the edge of the cliff. She wore a white nightgown that fluttered in the wind, her long hair tangled and damp. She didn't turn when I called out. She just stood there, staring into the fog. "Hey! Are you okay?" I shouted, moving closer. Still no response. When I reached her, I gently touched her shoulder. She turned to face me and vanished. Not walked away. Not ran. Vanished. Into thin air. My scream was swallowed by the fog. Chapter 2: Echoes in the Walls. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that pale girl on the cliff. The way her eyes seemed hollow, not from sadness, but from something older, deeper. Her disappearance wasn't a trick of the light. I knew what I saw. By morning, I had convinced myself to investigate. Not in the amateur ghost hunter way, but like a journalist or a historian. Elmridge had to have a story, my grandmother's house too. I started in the attic. Dust motes danced in shafts of light as I climbed the narrow wooden stairs. It smelled like cedar and thyme. Old trunks, photo albums, and stacks of yellowed paper crowded the space. One trunk in particular caught my eye. It was locked, but the key was tucked beneath a ceramic angel on the windowsill, exactly where my grandmother used to hide her spare keys. Inside, I found letters. Dozens of them. All addressed to my grandmother, all signed by someone named L. The handwriting was elegant, looping, and old-fashioned. Some of the letters spoke of strange dreams, cold hands at night, and voices in the walls. I shivered. At the bottom of the trunk was a photograph. It was faded, but I could make out 3 figures: my grandmother as a young woman, a man with sharp eyes and a crooked smile, and a girl the same girl I saw on the cliff. Her nightgown was different, but the eyes were unmistakable. "Who are you?" I whispered. That evening, the whispers started again. They came from the walls, soft, distant, like someone speaking just out of earshot. I pressed my ear to the plaster. The voice was a girl's, and she was saying my name. "Evelyn?" I stumbled back, heart racing. I wasn't imagining it. The voice was real, and she knew who I was. Chapter 3: The Locked Room. The next day, I focused on the one part of the house I hadn't dared to explore, the narrow door at the end of the second-floor hallway. It was always locked, and no key I found seemed to fit. Even my grandmother had warned me to stay away from it when I was little. But now I had to know. Armed with a crowbar from the tool shed, I pried the door open. It groaned like it hadn't been moved in decades. Dust exploded into the air, and I stepped into a room frozen in time. The walls were painted a soft blue, faded and peeling. A canopy bed stood in the corner, draped in cobwebs. Dolls sat in a line on a shelf, their glassy eyes watching me. A music box rested on the nightstand. I walked to it and lifted the lid. A delicate tune began to play, the notes warped with age. As it played, I felt something shift in the room, as if I were being observed. On the vanity, I saw a diary. Its cover was cracked, the leather worn. Inside, the entries were written in that same elegant handwriting L. One entry made my blood run cold. Mother says I am ill, but I know it is not sickness. I see things. I hear the girl in the mirror. She says she is me. Another. I tried to tell Evelyn's grandmother, but she won't listen. She says if I keep talking about the mirror girl, she will send me away. I don't want to go to that place. The final entry was just one sentence. She is coming through. As I read the word, the mirror above the vanity clouded. My reflection blinked, then smiled. But I hadn't.